study about a very important topic called law of conservation of momentum. Suppose an object A, let's take an object as a ball. So this ball A has mass of m1 and its initial velocity is u1. So in the beginning, the initial velocity of the ball is u1. An object B, so this is another ball. So this ball B has a mass of m2 and initial velocity u2. According to the formula for momentum, the initial momentum of ball A is m1 into u1 because the formula for momentum was mass into velocity. So the initial momentum would be mass into initial velocity, and that of B is m2 into u2. Suppose these objects collide, that is, they crash into each other. Let the force on A due to B be F1. So when both the balls clash into each other, each of them exerts a force on the other ball. So the force exerted on A because of B is F1. This force will cause acceleration in A and its velocity will become v1. So after the balls have clashed, the different velocity will be formed, and this we are taking as the final velocity v1. So the momentum of ball A after the collision will be the mass of ball A, which will not change. So therefore we are taking it as m1 only, and now the new velocity, therefore we are taking it as v1. So the momentum of A after collision will be m1 into v1. According to Newton's third law of motion, A also exerts an equal force on B but in the opposite direction. So we had learned earlier that Newton's third law of motion had taught us that both when one object exerts a force on the other object, an equal and opposite force will be exerted on the object. So because of this, ball A will also exert a force on B, and this will be same in magnitude but in the opposite direction. This will cause a change in momentum of B. So if the final velocity after collision is v2, so now even ball B will have a different velocity, and this we are considering as v2. The momentum of B after collision would be m2 into v2 because again the mass of ball B will not change. Only now we have the new velocity that we have to take. If F2 is the force that acts on object B because of object A, F2 is equal to minus F1. So this we are getting by using Newton's third law of motion, where the forces are equal but because they are in the opposite direction, we have to put this negative sign. So we had learned earlier that the formula for force is mass into acceleration. So we'll just substitute each of them and we will get this equation. But we know acceleration is change in velocity upon time. So when we substitute acceleration as final velocity minus initial velocity upon time t. Now because t is same on either side, it will be cancelled. Now because of cancelling the t, we will get this equation. When you multiply m with each of the values in the bracket, you will get this equation. And now we will just rearrange the equation so that the v's come on one side and the u's come on one side. So we will get m2 into v2 plus m1 into v1 is equal to m1 into u1 plus m2 into u2. This tells us that the magnitude of total final momentum is equal to the magnitude of total initial momentum. So we have taken the final momentum of both the objects and the initial momentum of both the objects, and when you add these, you will find that both are equal to each other. So that is how we came to know that the value of the final momentum would be equal to the value of the total initial momentum. Thus, if no external force is acting on two objects, then their total initial momentum is equal to their total final momentum. This statement is true for any number of objects. So if we do not put any external force, so we had just let the balls collide with each other without exerting any external force. And therefore, since no energy was transferred or added, their momentum, what was there before the collision, would be same as their magnitude of momentum after the collision. So we finally get that when no external force acts on two interacting objects, their total momentum remains constant. Constant is that it will be same no matter what. It does not change. This is corollary to Newton's third law of motion. So we derived this equation by using Newton's third law of motion that told us that when a force acts on one object, an equal and opposite force is exerted on that object. The momentum is unchanged after the collision. The momentum gets redistributed between the colliding objects. So, because the velocity changed, that is why the momentum was redistributed, so that it remained equal before the collision and after the collision. The momentum of one of the objects decreases while that of the other object increases. Thus, we can also state this corollary as follows. So because the balls collided into each other, the one with initially who had more velocity later would have a lesser velocity because that velocity was transferred to the other object. But even though this happens, the momentum when you multiply it with the mass would be equal, whether it was before the collision or after the collision. When two objects collide, the total momentum before collision is equal to the total momentum after collision. In order to understand this principle, let us consider the example of a bullet fired from a gun. So now we will understand this by taking another example in which the two objects are a bullet and a gun. And this bullet is being fired from this gun. When a bullet of mass m1 is fired from a gun of mass m2, its velocity becomes v1 and its momentum becomes m1 into v1. So the bullet is the first object, so its mass is given as m1 and the mass of the gun is given as m2. So after being fired, the final velocity of the bullet is v1. So therefore, after being fired, its momentum will be mass into velocity. Before firing the bullet, both the gun and the bullet are at rest. So not like how in the previous example, both the balls had an initial velocity. Here, both the gun and the bullet has initial velocity of 0. That since they are at rest, so because they are at rest, their initial velocities are 0. And hence the total initial momentum is 0. So here, because initial momentum is mass into initial velocity, and when you multiply anything by 0, it would be 0. Therefore, the total initial momentum is 0. According to the above law, the total final momentum also has to be 0. So when we seen earlier, total initial momentum is equal to total final momentum, and here the total initial momentum is 0. Therefore, the total final momentum has to be 0. Thus, the forward moving bullet causes the gun to move backward after firing. So because of this, since the velocity of the bullet is a value, since it has a velocity now, therefore the gun will also have a velocity. And the gun will have a velocity in the backwards direction because the bullet was fired in the forward direction. This backward motion of the gun is called recoil. So when you fire the bullet, the gun moves backwards, and this backward movement of the gun is known as recoil. The velocity of the recoil v2 is such that, so now if you want to find the velocity of the gun, that would be v2. We have to use the principle and find it. So we will do total initial momentum, which is 0, would be equal to total final momentum. So when you rearrange this, we would get v2 is equal to minus m1 upon m2 into v1 by just rearranging this formula. And therefore, that is how we can calculate the velocity of the gun. Or if we have the velocity of the gun, we could calculate any of the values that they are asking us to find. As the mass of the gun is much higher than the mass of the bullet, so the gun has more mass because it is a big object, and the bullet is very small, therefore it has a very tiny mass. The velocity of the gun is much smaller than the velocity of the bullet. And since both the momentum has to be same, because momentum is mass into velocity. So because the mass of the bullet is very small and its velocity was very large, therefore the gun having a mass of a higher value will have a very small velocity. Therefore we cannot see it that much when the gun moves backwards. Only the person who is firing the gun can feel it, and if you see carefully, then you will be able to see the gun moving backwards. The magnitude of the momentum of the bullet and that of the gun are equal and their directions are opposite. Therefore, when the bullet goes in the forward direction, the gun has to move in the backward direction. That is, their directions are opposite. Thus, the total momentum is constant. So, therefore, whatever we have derived earlier is proved that the total momentum is always constant. Total momentum is also constant during the launch of a rocket. So this is another example that when a rocket is launched, it puts a force on the ground. And because of that, again, the initial momentum will always be equal to the total final momentum. Let's see some solved examples now. Example 1. The mass of a cannon is 500 kg and it recoils with a speed of 0.25 meter per second. So I hope you remember what recoils is from the gun and bullet example. The recoil of the gun was when it moved backward when the bullet was fired in the forward direction. What is the momentum of the cannon? So this is a pretty straightforward example where they are asking us the momentum and have given us the mass and the speed of the cannon. We know that the momentum's formula is mass into velocity. So we just have to substitute these values in the formula and we get the answer as 125 kg meter per second. Example 2. Two balls have masses of 50 gram and 100 gram and they are moving along the same line in the same direction with velocities of 3 meter per second and 1.5 meter per second respectively. So there are two balls with different masses and different velocities which are traveling in a straight line. So the 50 gram mass ball has a velocity of 3 meter per second and the 100 gram ball has a velocity of 1.5 meter per second. They collide with each other and after the collision, the first ball moves with a velocity of 2.5 meter per second. So imagine this is the first ball and this is the second ball. The first ball is 50 grams and the second ball is 100 grams and they are both traveling along a straight line one behind the other. So because this first ball is faster, having 3 meter per second speed, it collides with this second ball and after the collision its velocity decreases. It now becomes 2.5 meter per second and they are asking to calculate the velocity of the second ball after collision. So let's put down whatever is given to us in the example and then get the answer. The mass of the first ball M1 is 50 grams which is 0.05 kg. So if we want it in SI system, we have to convert all the values into SI units. So grams should be converted to kgs. Therefore, we have converted 50 grams into 0.05 kg. Mass of the second ball M2 is 100 grams, that is 0.1 kg. Initial velocity of first ball, which is U1, is 3 meter per second. And initial velocity of second ball, which is U2, is 1.5 meter per second. Final velocity of the first ball V1 is 2.5 meter per second, which is given to us. And we have to find the final velocity of the second ball, which is V2. According to the law of conservation of momentum, total initial momentum is equal to total final momentum. So this we had derived from Newton's third law of motion. So we'll use the formula m1u1 plus m2u2 is equal to m1v1 plus m2v2. And once we substitute everything, the only thing we don't know is v2. So we have to find v2 in this equation. once you rearrange everything, you would get 0.1 v2 is equal to 0.3 minus 0.125. And once 0.1 is brought in the denominator, we will get the final answer for v2, which is 1.75 meter per second. So if you see carefully, the second ball had increased its speed and the first ball's speed decreased. That is showing us that initial momentum is equal to final momentum. This ball transferred some of its energy to this ball when it collided.